Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturning. A few weeks ago, after seeing a demonstration by Paul Russell, I turned this bowl out of very wet or green chestnut. I was hoping for it to warp like his did, but it has not warped that much. You can see a little bit of waviness, but kind of disappointing in the warping category. So I actually had a chance to ask Paul, what did I do wrong? He says, well, it's a bit thick, it's a bit deep, and a little bit taller, and a bigger base than what he would have done. Well, okay, I still had some of the wood left, so I went at it again and made it shallower, made it thinner, and a smaller base. Did it warp? Well, it did some. But again, not quite the warpage that I would have wanted. So, okay, then I still have a little bit left. I got to try again. Got to make it thinner. Yeah, about the same shallowness, but I've got to do it again. So, here's my third attempt at that bowl. It is thin yet and almost translucent in portions. But I don't think the wood was strong enough to take it being that thin. As you can see, the wood cracked off and I had to stitch together, kind of like Frankenstein was stitched together. So sometimes that happens, I guess, when you push a wood just a little bit too far. So let's turn this warped green bowl out of chestnut.
This is the third slice of the wet chestnut block of wood. This slice is the most toward the outside of the tree, and therefore it is a little bit smaller than the previous slices. I'm pressing it against a large wood faceplate with live center pressure, no glue. Then with my large bowl gouge, start removing wood from the bottom side grain area, working out to the perimeter. My slice varies in thickness, so it is a little more difficult to start writing the bevel. Still, this is the easiest approach. As soon as I can, I want to establish the tenon. With dividers, I mark the approximate diameter that I need, just a little larger than the minimum my small jaws can hold. Then cut the tenon, refine with my skew, before finish cutting the bottom side of the platter. Now I can remove the faceplate and mount the platter to a chuck using that tenon I just cut. Now with my bowl gouge, I can start hollowing the top side. I'm working in thirds. I'm starting by working the outer third, leaving the center wood as support. For this bowl or platter, I'm going for as thin a wall as possible. The wood is wet and very pliable. Without the center thick part, it would be flopping all over. Now for the middle third. Since I have live center support, I can hog out a lot of wood very quickly, but then slow down for cuts from the outside to the inside and trying to blend to the outer surface. The wood is turning translucent even without shining a light from the backside. This is scary turning, as I fear the infamous funnel. Finally, I approach the center third, still with the live center in place. I'm cutting away as much wood as I can, but leaving a center column which allows live center support. The wood is thicker here because of the foot, yet I still need to blend the cuts back into the translucent area. I question whether I've gone too far. I'm pleased when it survives. The wet, thin wall is very flexible. I hope it warps nicely. I put the wet platter in a brown paper bag to start drying. The bag provides a microclimate, preventing drafts while still allowing moisture to escape. Then, mounted back to the chuck, I'm power sanding the platter. Most of this work is with 80 grit to remove any rings I did not dare cut out earlier, then up through 400 grit sandpaper. In this process, my platter split into two pieces. After all that work, do I burn it? I decided to finish the foot area anyway, then see what I could do. The platter is pressed against a curved faceplate made of MDF. With a spindle gouge, I'm carefully shaping the foot, but staying away from the broken edge. After a couple more weeks, I consulted with my wife about appropriate needlepoint patterns that I could use to stitch the platter back together again. I tested some patterns with thread on a piece of veneer. Just a note, this veneer is thicker than my platter wall thickness. Then, using a blackened copper wire, I'm going to stitch the platter back together again. There is the main crack clear across the platter, and a smaller crack an inch away going only to the foot area. As I work the crack, I'm drilling holes by eye with a hand drill, then weaving a few more stitches. The wood is very fragile. Sometimes it splits a little more. At times the wire pulls through the side of the hole. Again, I'm wondering if it will survive, and if it is worth the work. I'm glad I chose the simple X pattern rather than the first pattern that I preferred. It would not have worked. With the X pattern, I can pull it together. In the second smaller split, a chunk of wood at the rim broke away. It was too small and too thin to stitch back into the platter. This has been an interesting exercise. 3 platters from the same block of wood. Each platter turned a little more thin than the previous one. There's more warp with the thinner platters. However, I think the degree of spalting limited the amount it would warp as the fungus or mold weakened the wood. Similarly, the spalting really inhibited my ability to stitch the seam. The wood had a tough time holding the stitch. Trust me, the wood was too thin to try to glue. In the end, I have 3 platters with an interesting progression and a story to be told. They are beautiful. They are keepers. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe on my website, tell your friends, and send me your comments and questions. Every week, I make a new wood turning video. Please wear your full face shield, not just when turning a scary project like this one. Until next week's video, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns.